Ladies and gentlemen, the new book by the King, Harley Race, 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Harley, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to join you here in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Mid-Atlantic Fan Fest and Convention. And just would like to get your thoughts on the convention thus far.
Well, the convention is going fine, and it's always fun to be able to come back out and get out really in front of the people that have made you a living your whole lifetime. There's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions on that. Mine is the fact that these people were the ones that supported me. Now, not while I was in the ring. The majority of them wanted to see me get my butt kicked. But they were there, and they're out here. And it's fun just being there.
Briscoe, Dory Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair. Any special memories or stories that you'd like to share about any of those gentlemen with us today?
Well, there's a whole lot of memories with every one of them. Dusty Rhodes, for example, the last Tango in Tampa, the largest house at that point in time they had drawn in the state of Florida. I'd even beat the one with Billy Graham and myself at the Orange Bowl. Ric Flair and myself, of course, here around the Charlotte area was always great. I forget the one in Greensboro of 1983. Flair for the gold. You know, that the Briscoe, probably the greatest pure wrestler that there's been in the business. Dory Funk Jr., another guy that you could go out there and go an hour on the mat with him, and probably during the whole hour there would be maybe 2 or 3 elbows thrown, hardly any punches, period. But there's just different guys, different points in time that were great, and I had the privilege of being there with a whole heck of a lot of them.
Is there a particular match or a particular town or a particular opponent that really stands out for you? An unusual circumstance, perhaps, that you had to compete under?
Well, I'd be absolutely lying to you if I didn't say it was the very first time I won the world's title in Kansas City, and that was against Dory Funk. The last round with Ric Flair, again, my home state, St. Louis, Missouri, when I beat Thez's record. But there's just periods of years that I've been probably one of the most fortunate people on the face of the earth to be able to do what I absolutely love to do my whole entire adult life. I started doing this when I was 15 years old, and I had my last match in 1993. So I had a good long period of time.
Tell us about being the first ever I still call it WWF, WWE, the first King of the Ring.
Well, that was something that I accomplished after realizing that it made no difference where it was Jim Crockett trying to run wrestling throughout the world, Ted Turner, Vince McMahon, that it was never going to go back to what it used to be, where you had absolute loyalty to what you were doing. I had the opportunity to go up there. There was 11, I forget how many people was in the tournament. I ran up wrestling 6 times that night. And again, on a huge stage in where the Red Sox play baseball. We wrestled there in the stadium, and I became the first King of the Ring, and I had that in, I want to say I went up there in like 86, 87, and had that all the way through 89 when I got injured wrestling Hogan in Nashville, Tennessee. And I should have probably quit then, but you know, it's hard to say no to something you love.
I do know that you wrestled against Bob Backlund, and I believe you wrestled against Nick Bockwinkel. Did you compete against Lou Thez at any point in time in your career? Excuse my ignorance for even asking. the question, but
Well, it's not ignorance. You know, you're going back to when you were just a child. I wrestled everyone. All the name, or the only name that you didn't throw in there was Billy Graham, and that was at the Orange Bowl. I did wrestle Thez 3 different occasions, but it was in a tag team match at the time. I was with the AWA with Larry Henning in Minneapolis, and Thez came in and teamed up with Gagne. Gagne and Thez wrestled Henning and myself. You talk about a nightmare. That was a living nightmare.
who would you say is probably possibly your mentor or one of the largest influences in your life as a professional wrestler?
I don't know that I had one per se. I saw Ray Stevens as I was starting, and there was a guy that I thought had more talent than sense. Another guy that broke me in was Ray Gordon, another tremendous mat wrestler. He actually beat O'Connor out of the Olympics. They're both from New Zealand. But I can't say there was just one. There were several of them that I just picked and chose things from and molded Harley Race.
Would you say there was a toughest opponent, or would there be a list of 10 toughest opponents, as many guys as you fought over your career?
I always answer that in kind of a two answer thing. If you're talking about brawling, that style, it would be a Bruiser Brody, a Dick the Bruiser, or somebody like that. In the wrestling, Jack Briscoe is the very first one that you ever think of because he was a pure wrestler. Dory Funk Jr., somebody along those lines.
If you could change the world of professional wrestling today, the state of the industry, what would you change? What would you do differently if you could wave a magic wand and change something about the world of wrestling?
I do the same thing that I'm doing right out in the Midwest right now. I run World League Wrestling. We run roughly 60 shows a year. And our motto is shut up and wrestle. And on the back of our t-shirts it says we put the W back in wrestling.
So to let them know a little bit more about Harley Race and where he's been and where he's heading.
Well, I think they know where I've been. But where I'm planning on going is where I've always been. I'm going to be involved in wrestling some way or another until they put me in that pine box. I've had, since I started World League Wrestling in 1999, I've sent 15 of my kids to Japan. There's 2 over there now, and one that just came back, spent 6 months there this year. And I really thank them for giving these kids the opportunity to have a big ballpark to play in. They go over there, they know what they're doing when they're down there on the mat. They know what they're doing up here, and just generally, they know how to wrestle.
The book really looks fantastic. I haven't had the chance to read it yet, but I've thumbed through it, and looks like there's a lot of great memories in there.
There is. This book here is kind of like I run World League Wrestling. Ric Flair's came out, and his wife hasn't spoke to him since. You're not going to see this or read that in this. This talks about me as a person throughout my wrestling career, and there's a lot of goofy crap that I left out of it because that is, that's nobody's business but my own. But this is a good story. You can get it for your kids as a Christmas present and not have to wonder, oh my God, what are they going to read in there? It's just, overall, I think it's a good story.